The river does not belong to the crocodiles, nor does it belong to the hippos. They are merely its heavy residents. The true master of the river is a ghost, a flash of impossible electricity that haunts the overhanging willow branches. To the casual observer, it is a blur of neon blue, a living sapphire shot from an invisible bow at 60 miles per hour. This is a kingfisher. But do not let the dazzling colors deceive you. This is not a creature of vanity. It is a masterpiece of biological warfare. It is a 3-ounce predator that has mastered the physics of two worlds, the thin air of the sky and the crushing density of the abyss. To look at a kingfisher is to look at a predator that has reached evolutionary perfection. Every feather, every flicker of its eyelid, and every microscopic ridge on its beak is designed for a single, violent purpose: the perfect strike. But before we witness the kill, we must understand the magic of the skin. How does a bird become a jewel? If you were to hold a kingfisher in your hand, a rare and fleeting privilege, you would notice something strange. If you turn its feathers away from the sun, the brilliant electric blue vanishes. It turns into a dull charcoal gray. This is because the kingfisher is a lie told by light. In the world of biology, most colors come from pigments, chemical dyes within the skin. But there is no blue pigment in a kingfisher. Instead, it utilizes structural coloration. Its feathers are covered in microscopic, crystal-like structures that act as prisms. When sunlight hits these structures, it scatters the light, reflecting only the shortest, most vibrant wavelengths of blue back to our eyes. It is a crown of light, a biological neon sign. But why? Why would a hunter want to be the brightest thing in the forest? The answer lies in countershading. From above, that shimmering blue mimics the glint of sunlight on moving water, making the kingfisher invisible to the hawks and falcons circling in the clouds. But look at its underbelly. It is a deep, burnt orange. From below, looking up through the water, that orange mimics the golden hue of the sun or the fallen autumn leaves. The kingfisher is a master of camouflage, hidden in plain sight by the very colors that make it famous. It is a ghost in a cloak of jewels. The kingfisher's silhouette is unmistakable. It is top-heavy, dominated by a beak that seems too large for its delicate body. This beak is not just a tool, it is a high-precision instrument. Long, tapering, and finished with a needle-sharp point, it is made of lightweight keratin but possesses the strength of a dagger. It is a non-reflective black, designed to prevent any glint of light from warning the fish below that death is perched above them. But the real secret of the azure arrow lies in its eyes. A human looking into a river sees a mess of reflections and distorted shapes. This is due to refraction, the way water bends light. Where a fish appears to be is not where it actually is. The kingfisher has solved this mathematical problem through millions of years of trial and error. Its eyes contain a double fovea. While humans have one central point of focus, the kingfisher has two. One allows it to see with incredible detail in the air, spotting a 2-inch minnow from 50 feet away. The other fovea is specialized for underwater vision. As it dives, a clear third eyelid, the nictitating membrane, snaps shut. This acts as a pair of high-definition goggles, correcting the refraction of the water instantly. The kingfisher does not guess where the fish is. It calculates. It knows the truth of the water. Most predators are defined by their movement, the chase of the cheetah, the pounce of the leopard. The kingfisher is defined by its stillness. This is the zen of the hunter. It perches on a reed, its heartbeat slowing, its body becoming as rigid as a statue. It can sit for 3, 4, 5 hours without moving a single muscle. This stillness is a biological necessity. Because its metabolism is so high, the kingfisher cannot afford to waste energy on useless flight. Every dive must count. It scans the water, its head tilting at precise angles to minimize the glare of the sun. It is waiting for the window of opportunity, that split second when a fish swims into the kill zone. During this wait, the kingfisher's brain is performing millions of calculations per second. It is measuring the depth of the water, the speed of the current, and the trajectory of the prey. It is a living computer, waiting for the perfect variable. In this silence, the kingfisher is the most patient creature on earth. But when that silence breaks, it breaks with the violence of a gunshot. The kingfisher is a solitary king. It does not want company, and it certainly does not share its river. A prime fishing spot, a branch that hangs perfectly over a shallow pool, is worth its weight in gold. To defend this throne of reeds, the kingfisher becomes a warrior, When a rival enters its territory, the agile arrow turns into a war hawk. They do not fight with talons like eagles. They fight with speed and psychological warfare. They engage in high-speed aerial dogfights, screaming a piercing tsetse. Call that sound like a machine gun. They chase each other through the tangled roots of the riverbank at breakneck speeds, weaving through branches with millimeters to spare. This is a battle of endurance. The loser is forced into the less productive parts of the river, where the water is murky and the fish are scarce. For a kingfisher, losing its territory often means losing its life. This is why the bird is so aggressive, so alert, and so fiercely protective. It is not just offending a branch. It is defending its right to exist. We have seen the beauty, the engineering, and the patience of the azure arrow. But the most incredible part of its story is not how it looks or how it waits. It is how it moves. In a few seconds, this bird will leave its perch and transform from a creature of the air into a missile of the deep. It will hit the water with a force that should shatter its small skull. It will enter a world where it cannot breathe and where its enemy has a home field advantage. And in doing so, it will demonstrate a secret of aerodynamics that was so perfect, it eventually saved the lives of thousands of humans and revolutionized the way we travel across the planet. But as the kingfisher leans forward, its muscles tensing for the strike, a new shadow appears in the water. A shadow that is not a fish. The hunt is about to begin, but the hunter is no longer alone. The kingfisher has stopped being a bird. It is now a mathematical equation in motion. It leans forward on its willow branch, gravity pulling at its 3-ounce frame, but its muscles hold firm. Below the surface of the shimmering river, a small silver minnow flickers. To the fish, the world above is a blur of light and shadow. It feels safe. It is wrong. In a fraction of a second, the kingfisher commits. It leaves the air behind, unfurling its wings for a heartbeat before tucking them tight against its sapphire body. It is no longer flying. It is falling with intent. This is a silent bullet, and it is about to break the wall between two worlds. When an object hits water at high speed, it encounters a physical wall. This is the impact force. If you belly flop into a pool, the water pushes back with agonizing pressure. For a small bird, hitting the water at 60 miles per hour should, by all laws of physics, shatter its hollow bones and crush its skull. Yet, the kingfisher enters the water like a needle through silk. The secret lies in the geometry of its beak. Unlike the rounded or flat beaks of most birds, the kingfisher's bill is a long, tapering wedge, essentially a four-sided diamond in cross-section. This shape is designed to slice the surface tension of the water rather than smashing it. As the tip of the beak touches the river, it creates a microscopic entry hole, allowing the rest of the body to follow without the devastating slap of impact. This is fluid dynamics at its most elegant. But this bird's beak didn't just save its own life. It saved thousands of hours. In the late 1990s, Japan's famous bullet trains, the Shinkansen, face a crisis. As these massive trains entered narrow tunnels at 200 miles per hour, they pushed a wall of air ahead of them. When the train exited the tunnel, that air would expand with a deafening sonic boom that could be heard for miles, shattering windows and disturbing thousands of residents. The engineers were stuck, until one man, Agent Akatsu, an avid birdwatcher and the train's chief engineer, looked at the kingfisher. He realized the train was hitting the air in the tunnel exactly like a bird hits the water, transitioning from a low-density medium to a high-density one. By redesigning the nose of the 500 series Shinkansen to perfectly mimic the beak of the kingfisher, the sonic boom vanished. The train became 10% faster and used 15% less electricity. We often think of ourselves as the masters of technology, but in the tunnels of Japan, we are merely students of a bird that has been solving the problem of aerodynamics for 15 million years. As the kingfisher breaks the surface, it enters a realm of chaos. The transition from air to water is violent. The temperature drops, the pressure rises, and for a moment, the bird is effectively blind. To protect its delicate eyes from the spray, its clear third eyelids, the nictitating membranes, snap shut like high-tech goggles. Now, the kingfisher is hunting by instinct and trajectory. It cannot adjust its course once it is submerged. Its wings, which only moments ago were used for graceful flight, now act as powerful brakes and rudders. It must fight the natural buoyancy of its feathers, which are filled with air and want to bob back to the surface like a cork. It pushes deeper, its beak snapping shut on the prey with a force of 150 psi. The minnow is trapped in a vice of keratin. But the kingfisher is a creature of the air, and every second spent beneath the surface is a second closer to drowning. The struggle underwater lasts less than 2 seconds, but it is an exhausting display of raw power. With the fish secured, the kingfisher must now perform the explosive ascent. It beats its short, powerful wings against the heavy resistance of the water. This is not flying, it is underwater rowing. It breaks the surface in a spectacular explosion of droplets, rising vertically back toward the sky. It carries a cargo that can weigh up to 25% of its own body mass. It returns to its perch, its feathers soaked, its energy depleted. This single dive has cost the bird a massive amount of its daily caloric intake. If it misses too many times, the azure arrow will run out of fuel. Success is not a luxury, it is a mechanical necessity for survival. The kingfisher lands back on its throne, the silver fish riding frantically in its beak. But the hunt is not over. A living fish is a dangerous meal. Its sharp fins can puncture the bird's throat, and its scales can act as hooks that lead to a slow and painful death. To turn this thrashing prey into a safe meal, the kingfisher must now engage in a ritual of bone-shattering brutality. It begins a beat-down, a rhythmic, calculated assault that will test the bird's precision in the fish's skeleton. But as the first strike lands, a movement in the reeds nearby catches the kingfisher's eye. Another predator has been watching the hunt. A predator that doesn't want the fish, but the bird itself. The silent bullet has just become the target. The kingfisher has returned to its perch, dripping with the cold water of the river. In its beak, a silver minnow thrashes with the frantic energy of a creature that knows it is moments away from the end. But the kingfisher does not swallow. To eat a living fish is to invite death. A single sharp fin, a stray scale, or a sudden jerk inside the throat could puncture the bird's delicate esophagus, leading to a slow and agonizing infection. The agile arrow must now transform into the frozen hunter. It begins a ritual of bone-shattering precision, a rhythmic, calculated assault that turns a thrashing prey into a limp, life-saving meal. This is a beat-down, and it is a masterclass in biological efficiency. Watch the bird's neck. It is a coil of pure muscle. It grips the fish by its tail and slams the head of the prey against the hardwood of the branch. Crack! The sound is sharp, like a snapping twig. The kingfisher repeats the motion, over and over, with the mechanical regularity of a factory piston. It is not out of cruelty. It is out of a cold, evolutionary necessity. The goal is twofold. First, to kill the fish instantly to stop it from struggling, and second, to break the tiny, needle-like bones and spines that act as defensive armor. By tenderizing the meat and shattering the skeletal structure of the fish, the kingfisher ensures that its meal will slide down its throat without resistance. This is preparation for consumption at its most visceral. For the kingfisher, every meal is a tactical operation. Once the fish is limp, the kingfish performs its most famous trick, the flip. To swallow a fish tail first is a death sentence. The scale would act like thousands of tiny hooks, snagging on the bird's throat and causing it to choke. The fish must go down head first. The kingfisher tosses a fish into the air, a moment of pure vulnerability where the meal could be lost to the wind or a waiting scavenger. In a fraction of a second, the bird catches the fish midair, perfectly oriented, head aimed down the gullet. It is a display of hand-eye coordination that would put any professional athlete to shame. As the fish disappears, the kingfisher's neck bulges and undulates. Within seconds, the silver minnow is gone, and the bird's stomach acid, which is among the most powerful in the avian world, begins to dissolve everything. Scales, flesh, and organs, leaving only the calcium of the bones for later. But a kingfisher never eats in peace. The river is a high-rent district, and a throne, a branch with a clear view of a shallow pool, is the ultimate prize. In the wild, there is no such thing as a shared boundary. The kingfisher is a fierce isolationist. If another bird enters this stretch of the river, the silent sentinel vanishes, replaced by a screaming war hawk. The dogfights that follow are legendary. These aren't just chases. They are high-speed tests of nerve and maneuverability. They weave through the dense canopy, chirping a piercing, metallic tsetse that sounds like a radio frequency jamming. They use their beaks as lances, trying to knock the opponent out of the sky. This is mountain warfare on a miniature scale. The stakes are absolute. The loser is banished to the murky, stagnant backwaters where hunting is a gamble and starvation is a constant threat. To be a kingfisher is to be in a permanent state of war. Between the battles and the hunt, the kingfisher practices the art of the statue. It can remain motionless for so long that insects will land on its head, thinking it is part of the tree. This stillness is its greatest weapon. Most prey animals detect movement. They do not detect shape. By becoming a static part of the landscape, the kingfisher disappears from the consciousness of the river. During these long hours of waiting, the bird is not resting. It is scanning. Its eyes are divided into zones. One zone watches the predators in the sky, the shadow of a hawk or the glint of a falcon's wing. Another zone is locked on the water, calculating the refraction truth we discussed earlier. It is a biological surveillance system that never powers down. This is the exhaustion of the hunter, the mental tax of being perfectly, painfully alert in a world that wants to kill you. The kingfisher has eaten. It has defended its throne. But as the sun begins to dip lower, casting long, golden fingers across the water, the bird does not head for the trees. It flies toward a vertical mud bank, a place where the river has bitten deep into the earth. It vanishes into a small, dark hole that looks like the entrance to a grave. Inside this tunnel, away from the shimmering light in the open sky, lies a secret that most people never see. It is a place of darkness, humidity, and a strange, metallic smell. It is a place where a king is raised, but it is built entirely of death. What lies at the end of this 3-foot tunnel will challenge everything you think you know about the jewel of the river. We have seen the kingfisher as a creature of light, a sapphire streak against the sun. But to find its heart, we must leave the sky behind. We must follow it into the earth. It flies directly at a vertical mud bank, a sheer cliff carved by centuries of flooding, and vanishes into a small, dark hole no wider than a tennis ball. This is the entrance to the Emerald Palace. It is a 3-foot-long tunnel, hand-carved with beak and claws, leading to a circular chamber where the air is thick, the humidity is stifling, and the smell is of ancient iron and damp earth. This is where the next generation of kings is forged. But this is no soft nest of feathers and moss. It is a cradle built on a foundation of death. While most birds eat twigs and grass in the safety of high branches, the kingfisher is a fossorial architect, a creature of the soil. When the breeding season begins, the male and female work in a frantic, exhausting relay. Using their beaks like pickaxes, they strike the hard-packed clay of the riverbank thousands of times. Once a small indentation is made, they use their tiny, syndactyl feet, where 2 toes are fused together, like shovels to kick the loose dirt backward. They dig upward at a slight angle. This is a masterstroke of natural engineering. By sloping the tunnel upward, they ensure that any rainwater or rising river levels will drain back out the entrance, keeping the inner chamber dry. It is a 3-foot fortress, invisible to the hawks above and unreachable by the heavy predators below. But as you crawl deeper into the darkness, the ground beneath you changes. The soft mud disappears, replaced by a crunchy, white carpet. In the circular chamber at the end of the tunnel, the female lays 5 to 7 porcelain white eggs. They glow in the darkness like pearls. But there is no lining of down or wool to keep them warm. Instead, the eggs sit directly on a bed of pellets. As the parents eat, their powerful stomach acids dissolve everything but the fish bones and scales. Every few hours, they regurgitate these remains as a dry, white bowl. Over weeks, these pellets break apart, creating a thick, insulating layer of pure calcium. The kingfisher's nest is literally built from the skeletons of its ancestors' prey. It is a macabre sight, a nursery made of bones, but it serves a vital purpose. The bone carpet provides drainage and prevents the eggs from touching the damp, cold mud. Life, in this world, is literally supported by the remains of the dead. It is a cycle of consumption that never stops. When the eggs finally hatch, the creatures that emerge do not look like jewels. They are naked, blind, and pink, looking more like tiny, prehistoric pterodactyls than birds. Their hunger is a biological furnace that requires constant fueling. From dawn until dusk, the parents are in a state of perpetual motion. The azure arrow must now become a delivery missile. A pair of kingfishers must catch between 80 and 100 fish every single day just to keep their brood alive. They return to the tunnel every 10 minutes, their feathers becoming tattered and muddy from the constant friction of the tunnel walls. The chicks don't wait patiently. They compete. In the pitch-black chamber, they form a rotation. The chick at the front of the tunnel gets the first fish, then moves to the back of the line to digest, allowing the next hungry sibling to take its place. It is a disciplined, dark, and desperate system of survival. Living in a 3-foot hole with 7 growing birds is a recipe for disaster. Waste and uneaten fish scraps could lead to deadly bacteria and parasites. But the kingfisher has a secret weapon, the whitewash. The chicks are instinctively programmed to aim their waste toward the tunnel entrance, and the parents meticulously remove any debris that could compromise the nest hygiene. Yet, as the chicks grow, the emerald palace becomes a cramped, chaotic space. Their pinned feathers, the protective sheath that hold their developing plumage, begin to emerge. They look like tiny porcupines. In the darkness, they begin to practice a refraction tilt, moving their heads in the shadows, mimicking the hunting motions of their parents. They have never seen a fish swim in the water, yet the knowledge of the silent bullet is already hardwired into their DNA. They are waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel. The day finally comes. The chicks have grown their first suit of sapphire armor. They are no longer pink dinosaurs. They are young kings. One by one, they crawl down the 3-foot darkness toward the circle of light at the entrance. They stand on the edge of the mud cliff, looking out at the vast, shimmering river for the very first time. The air feels strange. The light is blinding. Below them, the water is a swirling mystery. They have no flight lessons, no practice runs. Their first flight must also be their first hunt. If they fall into the water and cannot fly out, they will drown. If they cannot catch a fish within 48 hours, they will starve. As the first chick leans forward, its tiny talons gripping the mud, a shadow passes over the river. A hawk is circling. The agile arrow is about to take its first flight, but it may also be its last. The kingfisher stands at the edge of a 3-foot dark tunnel. It is a leap of faith. For weeks, this chick has lived in a world of fish bones and darkness. Now, the sun hits its sapphire feathers for the first time. There are no flight lessons here, no practice runs. It leans forward, unfurls wings that have never tasted the wind, and falls. In the wild, this is the birth of a king, or the end of lineage. The first dive is a disaster, a clumsy, noisy splash that sends a fish scattering. But hunger is the ultimate teacher. On the third attempt, the agile arrow clicks. The bird hits the water like a needle, emerging with a silver prize clamped in its beak. It returns to the branch, shivering but victorious. This 3-ounce miracle has just inherited a legacy that dates back to the age of the dinosaurs. But even a king can be dethroned. Today, the kingfisher faces a new enemy, murky, polluted rivers. When the water turns dark, the bird's refraction truth fails. It cannot hunt what it cannot see. This bird is a guardian of the river. If the kingfisher vanishes, it means the water is dying. Protecting this jewel is not just about beauty. It's about the survival of our planet's veins. As the sun sets, the old king and the new sit side by side. The hunt is eternal. You've seen the Emerald Palace, the Silent Bullet Dive, and the Shinkinson Secret. Now, the question remains, is the kingfisher nature's most perfect design, or does the golden eagle still hold the crown? Drop your vote in the comments right now. And if you want to see the next invisible assassin of the wild, hit that follow and subscribe button. The river never stays the same, and the next hunt is already beginning. See you in the next episode.